Mr. Mayor, you are live.
Thank you very much. We are live. It is a regular meeting of the governing body. April 12th. It is 5:06 p.m. I know that Councilor Lee Garcia texted me to say he was running a few minutes late, and I think he spoke to you, Councilor Rivera. So I expect him very soon. But let's begin. We'll start, and I know he'll get here as quickly as he can. Councilor Lindell will lead the Pledge of Allegiance. The salute to the New Mexico flag will come from Councilor Romero Worth. And if he's here in time, Councilor Lee Garcia will lead us in an invocation. And if he's not, we'll take volunteers.
Thank you, Mayor. If everybody would join in on the we us version of the Serenity Prayer, that would be wonderful. Grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Anybody have remembrances tonight?
This is from all of us, any of us? Well, let's just do a collective prayer. We've had more shootings in schools and in other parts of the country and cities in Tennessee and Kentucky. We have people here in our own community who are suffering from illness, from hard times, from family problems, from troubles in their own lives that we want to remember. And we want to keep them all in our hearts and send our best thoughts to people who need healing and people who need help wherever they may be. Let's take a moment of silence, please. Thank you. Thank you, Councilor, for subbing in. So, Madam Clerk, recognizing that Councilor Garcia is on his way, Councilor Lee Garcia is on his way, and we know that, let's call the roll and we'll give him a pass until he gets here.
Mayor Weber,
Present.
Councilor Cassett here, Councilor Chavez here. We'll note that Councilor Lee Garcia is on his way. Councilor Michael Garcia,
Present.
Councilor Lindell, Councilor Rivera,
Here.
Councilor Merriworth here, Councilwoman Villarreal.
Present.
You have a quorum, Mayor.
Thank you. Are there changes, Madam Clerk, to the agenda? Up, we have a hand up from the city attorney. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you, Mayor Weber, city councilors. We would like to request removing two items that are under discussion. I'm looking for the numbers here. I'm scrolling down. It would be 10A and B. A is likely moot based on a letter of termination we received today. And we just need to verify that that tenant is up to date on their lease payments. And then B, we're hoping will become moot very soon. So if it's not, it would be back on the agenda at the 26th.
So those won't even be up for consideration tonight.
Recommending removal, yes.
Okay, so
Move
anything
to
else?
approve as amended.
There's a motion to approve the agenda as amended. Councilor Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Item 19A, which is final action on legislation. This was pulled from our last meeting, which would have been the first time the public had opportunity to comment on it. So I don't know the course we need to take with this, given that we didn't take the first step. I would think, I don't know if we can put this on under, which would be, I don't see, we have any public
I
comment.
think the city clerk has a answer for you, Councilor.
Mayor, we actually noted on the agenda withdrawn at the March 29th regular meeting. It's only on the agenda because it was noticed before the meeting, so there is no action and the withdrawn is bolded, so.
It
Okay,
is withdrawn.
Mhm.
so it's kind
Dunzo.
of moot.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the clarification. I appreciate that.
Okay, any other comments before we vote on the motion to approve the agenda as amended? Madam, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Madam Clerk, next item on the agenda?
Um, oh.
Consent.
Yes, the approval of the consent
Are
agenda.
there any changes to the consent agenda, Madam Clerk?
None that I was notified of, Mayor.
All right, in that case, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Move to approve?
There's a motion to approve this consent agenda. Is there discussion? If not, Madam Clerk, that is a roll call. Could you call the roll?
Yes, Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
And do note that Counselor Lee Garcia has made it just a few minutes late. He was scurrying as quickly as he could to get to his chair. Thank you, Counselor. All good. With that, Madam Clerk, we move to presentations.
That is correct. Our first presentation this evening is a legislative update from JD Bullington. Mr.
Chuck. Good evening, Mayor, councilors. It's great to be here. My name is JD Bullington. I am your lobbyist. This is the first legislative session that I've had the honor of representing your interests and representing this great city. And I want to thank you again for giving me the opportunity to represent you. It was a very interesting session. The 60-day sessions are always pretty crazy. So I'm just going to highlight a few things. I'm going to briefly highlight the financial picture. I think you are all familiar with the capital outlay money that came in and the junior money that came in. There were 3 big projects alone that just 3 of them pulled in, about $11 million between the Fire Station 2 construction, Midtown infrastructure improvements, and the Swan Park Phase 2 improvements. Just those 3 alone were about at $11 million. Plus you're getting some extra junior money for security cameras in your municipal parks, extra money to deep clean and UV sanitize all the swimming pools, little projects like that, which are sort of just icing on the cake. So I think we're all familiar with the financial picture. And I'm overall pretty pleased.
JD, I wouldn't assume that. You might want to slow your roll and assume that there are also people listening who aren't on the governing body who are watching and listening.
Okay,
Why don't you give us a little bit more detail? Because I think it's
sure.
important, given how hard you worked and how much the city was benefited from that effort and from the state, both the legislature and the governor's support. You want to break it down a little more granularly for everybody. So
Absolutely. Mayor, why don't I just highlight the projects real quick and the dollar amounts?
that'd be great. Thank you.
I'm generally pleased with the overall dollar amount and the big picture of it. So here's how the way the capital outlay allocations broke out. $210,000 for Governor Miles road improvements, $350,000 for Pacheco Street improvements, $210,000 for the El Museo cultural building improvements. This was not a priority that I was lobbying, but I do want to put that on the list. $3,995,000 for Fire Station 2 construction, $200,000 for Homebound Meals Santa Fe facility renovation. Again, that was not a priority, but it did show up on the Santa Fe list. $4,900,000 for Midtown infrastructure improvements, $50,000 for the municipal recreational sports complex field construction, $650,000 Fort Marcy pickleball court construction, $2,400,000 for Swan Park Phase 2 improvements, and then the junior appropriation, which is discretionary general fund cash that the lawmakers can spend, $95,000 for security cameras in the Santa Fe municipal parks, $75,000 to deep clean and UV sanitize all Santa Fe municipal swimming pools, $125,000 for arson prevention, training and investigative equipment for Fire Department 3 in Santa Fe. And also what showed up on the list is $75,000 for life skills programs for incarcerated juvenile offenders. That also showed up as an allocation for Santa Fe. All in all, that total is around $13 million. And so, like I say, for the big picture, the amount of money, I'm pleased with the overall amounts. You know, being a lobbyist is a lot like being the mayor or being like city councilors. You don't always get everything you want. It never always goes your way. But you know, you take the victories when you can get them. So that is the overall financial picture on the capital outlay side and the junior money. I will say the state is expected to have surpluses for at least the next 2 or 3, possibly 4 years. And there will be more money on the table in the upcoming legislative sessions for the foreseeable future.
Thank you. I think JD has a vast and deep knowledge of the legislature, how it works, and also what did and didn't get through the session, not only with capital outlay, but with some of the priorities we were hoping would come out or did or didn't come out when it comes to legislation. But I know you could answer questions, and if not in real time, you'll get back to folks. So let me just open the floor for a show of who would like to ask a question or talk to JD. Councilor Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, JD. I hope you got some rest after a long session. I know in particular sessions like this, when there's some money to go around, there's a lot more work to be done. So kudos to you and thank you for all the work you did on behalf of the city of Santa Fe. I do got 2 questions for you. You listed $50,000 for the MRC, which is kind of the soccer renovations that we had been
Correct.
Open to get. Reason I got some questions around that one is because we have a private donor who is willing to match funds up to $4 million. And I guess any suggestions or recommendations you can have, because I know that the folks, in particular, the donor and some of the community members that had been really hoping we can have more resources than $50,000. Anything they can do or approaches that can be done better, because you know, by no means we're happy with $50,000, but when you've got a match out there of $4 million, we would hope that would kind of entice some of our delegation to, or even some of the other members of the legislature to see that investment and the return that it can bring to our community, not only the health implications, but the economic driver behind it. So just from your perspective, anything we can do or any feedback that you might have heard, did you pitch that and folks just quickly shut it down? Anything that you might be able to help with?
Sure. Mayor Weber and Councilor Garcia, I never heard anything negative about this project. You know, as the lobbyist and as advocates, all of us are up there, you know, pushing for projects. I'm not the only one that's talking to lawmakers about projects, you know, and that's a good thing. So I never heard a negative word about it. Ultimately, it is up to the lawmakers to decide what their priorities are. And these are our Santa Fe members of our Santa Fe delegation. I have also seen emails on this. I'm aware that there's a feeling that this appropriation fell short of the mark. I never knew exactly what the mark was. But it was pitched at the same priority level as all of the other projects. It was not ignored. It wasn't shelved. It was pitched and represented with the same package, you know, and then what comes in is ultimately what the lawmakers decide. I would like to reach out to some of the people behind this facility. I want to know a few things. I want to know exactly how much the prior appropriations have been. I want to know if we need to reauthorize some money in the next session to perhaps preserve what is there. And then because, you know, I am aware of this one sticking out a little bit, I'm happy to elevate this one, you know, in the next legislative session.
Sure. And just to give you some context, this is kind of a newer request on behalf of the city. We just actually this session, put it in our top 5 because of the private donation that has come to the table. And so that's why we elevated it to our top 5 priority. And I don't think there was much momentum behind it in the past because it was a pure ask. And now it's an ask with a donation supplementing whatever comes along. So happy to work along with you offline just to see how we could maybe meet that goal next time. Because I think we had in our resolution said we wanted to hope for $4 million. So I'll continue to work with you on that one.
If I could interject real quick, Counselor, I apologize, Mr. Mayor, Counselor. I had a productive meeting last week with Scott Ossian, I think is his last name. I'm not sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, who helps coordinate all the Santa Fe soccer programs about this. We extended a commitment from my office to help him do community outreach next year that would be in support of ensuring that we get the funding that we need to make that match. And also that we would be willing to look in the coming year if we have revenues that go beyond what we think to try to continue to extend what we can to show a good faith effort on the part of the city to make sure that commitment is met. I just want to make sure you knew that.
Great. Thank you, City Manager Blair. I appreciate that update. The only other question is because I was told from one of our delegation members that there was actually junior money, I think it was 75,000 or 50,000 for GCCC that they had put in. So I want to make sure that's on your radar as well. That one, from my understanding and talking with the representative, it was very broad in the sense it covered potential indoor turf or other flooring needs within the GCCC. So I wanted to make sure that that was on your radar as well.
Mayor Weber, Councilor Garcia, it absolutely was. I was with the lawmaker at the time who appropriated that $75,000
Okay.
for the Genevieve Chavez Center and for this specific project. And she made that allocation and appropriation before it was publicly announced that the project was not ready to move forward at this time. And subsequently, that $75,000 junior fund appropriation was line item vetoed.
Okay. Well, thank
So it is not on the table anymore. Like I say, the timeline, that money was allocated before there was a public announcement that the project wasn't ready to move forward. And that is the reason, in my opinion, that it was line item vetoed, because the governor was aware of that.
Well, I mean, I think that's unfortunate because from my understanding is that there was language where it could have resurfaced the basketball courts. It was a little more broad than the turf. So I think, well, we'll have to figure out how we move forward with that one, but thank you for the
Absolutely
update.
correct. And I will say, I helped write the language so that it was brought. So we put in resurfacing of gymnasium floors. Yes, we tried to get that language as bulletproof as possible. Unfortunately, that soccer piece, I think, stuck out a little much.
Understandable. Well, thank you again, JD, for the update. Really appreciate that. Just to give you a heads up, I don't know if you had communicated a lot of these numbers through other channels, but we hadn't been made aware. I've gotten my information either reading the bill or reading the newspaper, and so I appreciate you giving us some hard numbers tonight. I put some of the hard work that you did kind of really in a broader context than what's kind of been put out there. So thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Thank you, Counselor.
No other questions, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Others? Yeah, Councilwoman.
You, Mayor, thank you, Mr. Bullington, for going to bat for the city. There's a lot of good things that came out of it. And then, as you said, some disappointments. I think what would help me and probably other counselors is just having an update of, we used to get kind of like 2-week updates or monthly updates, and not a cut and paste, but really just like what you're seeing in the session, kind of just a broad view of what's happening. And then also what's happening with some of the items that we listed for the legislative priorities. And I think that just helps some of us that aren't able to attend the legislative session as much as we want to kind of see from your point of view what's happening. And then kind of like maybe where we can plug in if there's a need to advocate. That would be helpful for me. And I think just like we're all jotting down all the numbers you just told us, it would have been great to have the attachment to just like summarize it with bullet points would be helpful, just so we know exactly if we have to refer back to it and our constituents ask, then we have it right on hand. Instead, I have kind of a piecemeal written down. I was looking at my colleagues, like what else did they write down? Because I might have gotten the numbers down. So I'm wondering if you could just send us that update so that we have it available. I did take some of that info from the paper. I did get the info from the newspaper article. So I just think it'd be helpful to check in with those of us that can attend the sessions or the during the session. So we can just be updated and know what's happening.
So Mayor, on that point, and Councilor Villarreal, so my communications in this first session were restricted. Well, they weren't restricted, but I kept them to the mayor, the city manager, Emily, and the deputy city manager. So my communications were internal largely with the staff. I think it's great to communicate directly with the counselors. I'm happy to do it. I think that's an easy fix. It's just the way that I did it. And that's the way we kind of did it this session. Happy to change that and expand it. I can absolutely send you this information. So Mayor, is the right way to do it? Is it to send it all to the counselors, or do I forward it through the city manager? What would be the process
Historically,
for
it's
me
gone,
to communicate?
yeah,
with the
historically, it's gone a report, and the councilwoman's right. It has been drafted in a different form in the past.
Okay,
But it would go to the city manager, who would then distribute it to all of the council members on a
okay.
regular basis. I think in this instance, since the session is over, if you can just summarize what you presented verbally as the councilwoman asked, a sheet that says, here's what we got and here's what we didn't get. That'd be super helpful as a document that everybody could have in front of them.
That's great. If it's okay with you, I think I'll include some of the other policy measures
Yeah, I think
that
a
we weighed
summary-
in, you know,
we wanted to draft a summary of end of session,
Yeah.
wins, losses, and ties. That'd be great.
I'll absolutely write that up and I'll send it to Manager Blair.
Great. And yes, ma'am, you still have the floor.
Thank you. Yeah, that would be helpful. And, you know, it would be, if you could compare it to some of the items and things that we stressed in the legislative priorities document, our resolution, just so we know, like, what happened to that particular, I know there were a lot of bills that might have fallen under a specific category, but maybe just some highlights. And obviously there's priority in terms of the numbers and capital outlay,
Sure.
but it would just be helpful to kind of get that kind of summary of what happened. And of course, we read a lot of it in the paper, but I just think it'd be helpful moving forward when we have these like intermittent summaries to just kind of help us navigate what's happening. And that's all. Thank you.
Great. Other questions or comments? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
I think you undersold just what a great performance you did in terms of the capital outlay. We really appreciate that. I know there were some allocations that we had maybe hoped would go differently, but as you say, you present the menu and the diner gets to choose what they order, and you did a great job. And I think the city's
Thank you.
better off for all of it. So thank you very much.
Always room for improvement. Thank you.
All right, JD, thank you. Madam Clerk, our next presentation.
Mayor, our next presentation is an audit update for fiscal year 21 by our finance director, Emily Oster.
Hello, everyone. Good to see you this evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the governing body. I first want to start out with a big thank you to the members of the Finance Committee. We are in the thick of budget hearings and it's been a long day. So just really want to express my gratitude to everyone for hearing the presentations from the Community Development Department today. And I look forward to continuing those over the next couple of weeks. As far as my audit update for this evening, I am pleased to share with you that Carr Riggs Ingram, which is our external auditor, has been on site this week on Monday and Tuesday. We had our partner, Eric, and three staff members here on Monday and Tuesday. They are working remotely the rest of this week, and then we expect them back towards the latter half of next week. So that's exciting. That's a sign that we're moving into a different phase of the audit where they're doing substantive test work. And what substantive test work is they pull a sample of transactions and they ask us to provide supporting documentation. So some examples, they've been working on payroll. They gave us a sample and they asked us to pull the payroll files, and they'll look to ensure that we have things like W-4 forms on file and I-9s, and that there's approvals of payroll transactions, and they'll design their own audit program, but they'll test for compliance with all the applicable requirements for those transactions that are in their sample. They're also looking at claims and subsequent disbursements. Subsequent disbursements are payments that were made after the end of the fiscal year that could potentially be expenditures of the previous fiscal year. So things that got paid in, say July or August that might have been incurred where the expense was incurred in the previous fiscal year that might need to be accrued back. So those are some examples of the types of substantive test work that they're doing. Next week, when they're back on site, they expect to dive deeper into debt, capital assets, and revenue, and we'll be discussing the testing approach for grants, both federal and state and local grants. So the audit is moving forward, the audits are moving forward, and we are, into the substantive test work phase where we're having more on-site work, and there's that iterative process of they select the sample, they let us know what they want to look at, we pull the documentation, they review it, and back and forth it goes until they have what they need in terms of sufficient appropriate audit evidence to support their opinion. That's the standard that they're working towards. On the consulting side, our team from Clifton Larson Allen is continuing their work on the FY22 cash reconciliation. Progress is being made. As an example there, I'd like to share with you that we, as recently as last week, had 400 entries that we were working with the utilities department on. By the beginning of this week, that was down to 46, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to get the remainder cleared this week. So that's just one example. Clifton Larson Allen is also working on other areas as well, and they're assisting the city staff with pulling documentation and providing information to Carr Riggs Ingram as they're working through their audit procedures. In addition to Carr Riggs Ingram being on site at the end of next week, we'll also have our Clifton Larson Allen team. Our 3 senior team members will be here Monday through Thursday of next week. So looking forward to having them on site. I also wanted to provide you an update on S&P. I did have a good meeting with S&P and with Hilltop Securities, George Williford, who is our municipal bond advisor, on Monday. I am optimistic that the unaudited information that we've provided directly to S&P and also through EMMA, which is the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board's online disclosure system, is sufficient for now. S&P is working with that information, and we did have our annual report due on our existing bond debt to EMMA on March 31st. So happy to report to you that we submitted that on time. We are being proactive in terms of keeping lines of communication open with S&P, and we have a follow-up meeting planned for the first week of May. And of course, if they need anything in the meantime, we'll provide that right away. And then the other big thing that's going on in finance is, of course, the budget hearings. So that's a significant effort for staff and for the finance committee, and we are underway with our FY24 budget hearings. With that, I'd be happy to stand for any questions.
Thank you, Director. Councilor Lee Garcia, you have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Ms. Oster, for the presentation, and thank you for all your hard work. Obviously, this is a tough week, next week, and time. And so I just have a question in regards to where we're at. And I know, I guess the request at some point would be when all of this is over with and the audits have been submitted, would it be possible to get either a summary of what the findings were in regards to what they saw, our external people? I think Clifton Larson Allen is the external, correct?
Mr. Mayor, excuse me, Mr. Mayor and Councilor Garcia. So what will happen after the audits are submitted to the state auditor's office is they'll conduct a review of those audits and they'll communicate any changes that they want to the auditors, and we'll work with the auditors, which is actually Carr Riggs Ingram. Clifton Larson Allen is the consultant. So Carr Riggs Ingram will submit the audit reports to the state auditor's office. The state auditor's office will conduct their review and they'll communicate back. It's called an okay to print communication, where they tell us, any changes that they want to see, and that it's okay in the old days to print paper copies of the report. And then after any changes that are noted on that okay to print communication are made, then the final report will be submitted to the state auditor's office, and then it'll be released. And there is typically a 10-day period between when the state auditor releases the report and when it's available to the public. However, that can be waived by the entity. So once we're at that point, the city will have to consider whether or not we want to waive that 10-day period. So maybe that's a long way of saying that after the report is released, the auditors will come here to the governing body and present it to you. And it will include all of the findings in detail in that report. And we'll also make the report available to the public on the city's website. We have a number of years of audit reports available. It's also available through the state auditor's office. So, I went a little bit down the rabbit hole on the process there, but once we get the okay from the state auditor's office and the report is public, then we'll schedule a meeting. We'll schedule time at one of your governing body meetings for the auditors to come and present the report to you. And that will include their opinions and the findings.
Thank you. And I'm aware of how the findings and all that work with the audit. Pretty large document once it's all compiled, and different areas to look at. And so, I guess mostly just once everything is submitted, maybe what did we learn from this, and where was the breakdown in the processes, so we don't repeat this in the future. And I think that's good to learn from the past and not repeat it in the future. That was my question. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor. Counselor Michael Garcia.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Director Oster, for the update. I really appreciate it on all fronts, internal, external, S&P facing. So thank you for being proactive and really working with them. And glad to hear that we've got a follow-up meeting scheduled with them in May. That's to me good. Those are good intentions, and those are good forecasting, in the opinion that they're willing to want to continue to meet with us in that sense. I know I asked the question last time, so I do want to ask the question again this time in regards to S&P's 30-day deadline. And we're roughly a week out from that. Are they aware that we're in the situation where we are, and are we going to be able to accommodate their request or not?
Mr. Mayor and Councilor Garcia, I think the open line of communication with S&P is very important. That was one of the reasons why I wanted to make sure to meet with them this week as we approached that 30-day timeline. And so I am optimistic that they won't take any action between now and that follow-up meeting that we have scheduled at the beginning of May. I am comfortable and confident that if they do feel the need to change the current situation, which is, the city is on credit watch, but there hasn't been any additional action, that they would, utilize that open line of communication to let me know what might be coming. But based on my conversation with S&P on Monday, I think, the next action item is the follow-up meeting at the beginning of May. They are working with the unaudited information that we submitted directly to them, and then through the Emma, the public disclosure portal through Emma.
Okay. And so am I incorrect with my thought that we won't meet the 30-day deadline, but we will have the conversations with them in May around the tardiness of the request and how we can remedy the situation and move forward in a manner that helps us to begin to move forward in a proactive manner?
Mr. Mayor and Councilor Garcia, I think we're maintaining good communication with S&P, and we have provided them with unaudited information that they're currently reviewing. So I'm optimistic that that will be enough, at least until this follow-up meeting at the beginning of May, to avoid future action. Now, of course, it's not my decision. S&P will decide, but based on my communication with them, excuse me, my understanding is that they're currently working with the unaudited information. I think it helps that the city has exercised restraint in previous fiscal years and accumulated fund balance in the funds that have debt, which is the general fund and then the water and wastewater funds. So, I think a real important point about all of this is that S&P has not expressed any concern about the city's creditworthiness. The situation is being driven by a lack of information. They have a policy that requires certain information within a certain time frame, and that's where we're, struggling to comply with their policy. But the financial reality of the city and the preliminary unaudited information that we've provided shows that the city is not in danger of being unable to repay its debt. Ultimately, that's what this is about. How likely is it that the city would be unable to repay its debt? And I think we can see, looking at unaudited information, we can see pretty significant fund balances in those three funds that, would allow the city to continue to make those debt payments. It's also helpful that the city hasn't issued debt in a number of years. I think that's there's two sides to that coin, because we have infrastructure needs that we would like to fund through debt. But when we're looking at the ratio, for example, of revenues to the outstanding debt, the lower the debt balances are, the better off those ratios look from, the rating agency and the lender's perspective. So I think we have those things going for us. I think, S&P has been, open to these continuing conversations. They've been generous with their time, and I feel like we're building a relationship with them where if they felt the need to take action, they would at least communicate with us about that ahead of time. So the next step that we have with them is this follow-up meeting in May. So I can't guarantee, but I feel optimistic that they have what they need until that follow-up meeting.
Great. Well, thank you for the additional clarification. I really appreciate it. My next questions, interestingly enough, refer to current debt, current bonds that we have that are outstanding. Because I'm somebody who likes to plan for plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. And, some of these plans include, what happens in the instance if there is a withdrawal, what happens in the instance if there is a downgrade, et cetera. And so going down those paths, and not to say we're there yet by any means, let me clearly make that point from the beginning. But my question revolves around, with our current bonds that we have that we currently owe money on, is there any type of call provision in them where if the rating is withdrawn or there is a downgrade that would require us to immediately pay the lump sum of payment to the bond issuers?
Mr. Mayor and Councilor Garcia, I don't have the answer to that question. I'm not aware of any call provisions like that. We can research that and get back to you. But I'm not aware of anything like that. And,
Okay.
George Williford, our municipal bond advisor, has been working with the city for, I think, more than 15 years. So he has a lot of history. He's been involved in all of these issuances. And really, what's actually happening is we're paying off some of these older series, because usually it's a 10-year life on these bond issues. So we have, these older series that were issued in 2008, 9, 10 that are maturing, and we're paying them off. So I don't know of any provision in the current debt agreements. I have not reviewed them for that specific issue, but the folks that, have been involved with this process since the beginning, since these bonds were issued, haven't alerted me to any concerns about that type of issue.
Okay, thank you. And if possible, because I know you've been giving these updates at every governing body meeting, if it might be possible to get that update next meeting, given it would be before the meeting S&P in May, and I don't know if any decisions would be made by S&P in May, but sounds like no action, no decisions prior to that. So it'd just be good, in my opinion, to be proactive, to begin to explore, okay, if this happened, this happens, this happened, this happens. And
Mr. Mayor and Councilor Garcia, I think because there isn't a concern about the creditworthiness of the city, we don't have a history of late payments. We've been, making our payments. I don't know that there would be a reason for the bondholders to, invoke that type of provision, if it even is in any of these agreements. Because, we're honoring our part of the agreement, we're making the payments on time. And so we'll take a look and we'll provide you with an update at the next governing body meeting.
okay, thank you. I really appreciate that. And since we're looking into that language, and we'll be kind of doing a deeper dive into those historical bonds, if we can get an amount on the debt owed for each of those bonds that are still outstanding, that would be great as well.
And Mr. Mayor and Councilor Garcia, that's part of the annual continuing disclosure that we filed on May 31st on Emma. So that is available through the Emma website, and I'm happy to provide that report that was filed. It has all of the different series, when they were issued, and how much debt is remaining. And it also shows when they'll be repaid.
Okay.
The payment schedule and when they'll mature.
Great, thank you. Thank you. And again, just want to thank you for the updates. Sounds like there's progress being made, positive momentum taking place. So want to continue to push that positive energy in your direction. So thank you, Director Oster. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councilor Garcia. We will take any positive energy that you have to give. Thank you.
All good? Any other questions? You okay? All good? Thank you, Director Oster. Appreciate your being with us, and thank you for the update. Nice to see you. Madam Clerk, what's the next item on the agenda?
Next item on the agenda is discussion action items. As Attorney McSherry mentioned, item A and B have been removed. So we move on to item C, which is request for approval of lease agreement between the City of Santa Fe and the Santa Fe Police Department for use of 2.00 acres of land at the Santa Fe Regional Airport for a firearms training facility. And James Harris, our Santa Fe Regional Airport Manager, and Terry Lease, our Asset Development Manager, are available for this item.
I'd entertain a motion, then we'll get a
Move to approve.
there's a motion to approve. There's a second. Gentlemen, you have the floor if you want to walk us through the item in front of us. We're all ears. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, councilors, thank you. Yes, the item before you, 10C, is for the police have been operating their firearm training facility on the airport for quite some time. And as explained in the memo, the airport, the city, we received a Part 13.1 determination letter from the FAA. And one component of that is to address the leases, bring all of our leases in compliance. One FAA regulation requires that no tenant at the airport be given a right not given to all other tenants. So we needed to draft leases for the police for this police firearm training facility, and also 10D behind it for the police impound or vehicle fleet evidence lot. And so we drafted a lease. We do not have a current appraisal. We did our best to estimate a current fair market rent. And our intention, and it's written into the lease agreement, is to have an appraisal done by an appraiser experienced with airport work. And then we can bring, if need be, we can make adjustments to the rent or fair market.
Great. Are there questions for either Mr. Lease or Mr. Harris? Could you call the roll, madam?
Yeah, Councilor Chavez,
Yes.
Councilor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Councilor Lindell, Councilor Rivera,
Yes.
Councilor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Councilor Cassett,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
Thank you. Could you take us to the next item on the agenda then, please?
Yes, the next item is item 10D. It's request for approval of lease agreement between the city of Santa Fe and the Santa Fe Police Department for use of 1.47 acres of land at the Santa Fe Regional Airport to be used as a police impound lot. James Harris, our regional airport manager, and Terry Lease, our asset development manager, are available for this item.
Move to approve.
There's a motion to approve this item in a second. Mr. Lees, you already briefly touched on it, but why don't you give us a little deeper dive into this item, please?
Okay. Mr. Mayor, councilors, thank you. Yes. So this lease before you today is for the police vehicle fleet lot and evidence storage off of Huey Road. They've been operating out there for years without an agreement in place. And as discussed earlier, one of the requirements to meet the FAA Part 13.1 determination is to bring the leases into compliance out at the airport. And as stated here, we cannot give no tenant at the airport can be given a right not given to other tenants. So we're required to put a lease in place, charge fair market rent as all other tenants on the airport.
Great. Questions on this item? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
Thank you both. Appreciate your being here. Take us to the next item, Madam Clerk.
You got it. It's matters from the city manager.
What just happened here? Did the coffee kick in? What? Something interesting is going on over there. All righty then. Show them what they've won. All right, Mr. Blair, you have the floor.
I don't know that I can compete with that. I think I'm done. I fold. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, councilors. I hope you all are doing well. Just a couple of quick things. First of all, a huge thank you to the city clerk and her community engagement team for two really significant, successful events a few weeks ago, the State of the City event and the Easter egg hunt and the Touch the Truck event. The city clerk's team did an extraordinary amount of organization work to make sure that both were professional events, that everyone who wanted to get in could get in, that all the pieces were in place. And it was really an extraordinary lift in a very busy week. And I'm grateful for all the work that her team did. At the same time, I want to thank everybody in the city who helped out with the Easter egg hunt and the Touch the Truck event. It is just so cool to see. I mean, the kids turning into zombies, chasing each other for candy is cool, but to see all the city employees who are there helping kids get in and out of their trucks, their ambulance or their fire truck. You know, we had a booth of librarian staff who are helping kids with crafts, making bunny ears. It really is it's not as big as Zozobra clearly, but it's a citywide effort to make that a success. And I just think it's so great to see that. Want to thank all of you and everyone who did come to the State of the City event as well. It was nice to be back and have that be in public again. And we're really grateful at how that turned out. My team and most of the senior leadership has been very focused over the last few weeks on budget prep, getting ready for the hearings. And so far, I think we've had a productive first few days here as we're rolling them out. And so we're trying to set some reasonable expectations for our team as well. I know that many of you will have questions as we go about these hearings, and we're trying to be proactive with you about setting some reasonable expectations about how quickly can staff get answers back to you, not always same day, maybe not next day, but as quickly as we can. We just want to be forthcoming with you about that. Mr. Mayor, that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Madam Clerk?
Matters from the city attorney.
Madam City Attorney, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'm going to stick with my executive session tonight. I do recommend we enter executive session to discuss a few matters, including but not limited to City of Santa Fe versus Purdue Pharma in the matter and in the matter of the application by the city for permit for return flow credit, which is hearing number 22042. This is under the Open Meetings Act, Section 1015(1), Part H7, attorney-client privilege discussion of pending or threatened litigation.
Councilor Rivera, how would you like to make a motion for us, sir?
I move that we enter an executive session pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, section 10-15-1H, subpart 7, for discussion of threatened or pending litigation in which the governing body is or may become a participant.
Second.
There's a motion and there's a second. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
and Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
Very good. We'll go into executive session. We'll try to come back as close to 7 as we can, but we have quite a few items to take up. So if you're watching or listening, pay attention for when we do come back into session. Okay, it's 7:30. We're back in session. Counselor Rivera, do you want to make a motion for us, sir?
As soon as I can get my computer to work.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mayor. Pursuant to the Open Meetings Act, section 10-15-1J. I move that the governing body reconvene in open session and state for the record that the matters discussed in the closed session were limited to those specified in the motion for closure.
Second.
There's a motion and there's a second. Is there any discussion? Let's just call the roll.
Right, Counselor Lindell? Counselor Rivera?
Yes.
Counselor Marworth?
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal?
Yes.
Counselor Cassett?
Yes.
Counselor Chavez?
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia?
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia?
Yes.
Mayor Weber?
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
Thank you. What I'd propose is that we quickly take up the action items that came out of the executive session and then move our agenda so that we go directly to petitions from the floor.
Moved.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can you get us going on the coming out of the executive session then, please?
I was about. Mayor, we just did that motion, so I'll go ahead and read 13A, the first action item.
Yes, please.
No,
No,
we're,
It was not a motion.
Counselor
It was just-
Rivera had a motion, Counselor Romero Worth seconded that motion, and then we voted to come out of executive session.
No, Michael was responding to my suggestion, but I don't think we need to yet amend the agenda until we take up item 13A through C.
Correct. Item 13A is approval of the city of Santa Fe to opt in as a participating subdivision in the National Opioid Settlement Agreement with Teva in the city of Santa Fe versus Purdue Pharma.
Is there a motion?
move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion to approve and there's a second. Is there discussion on item 13A? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. Could you take us to B then, please?
Yes, item 13B is approval of the city of Santa Fe to opt in as a participating subdivision of the National Opioid Settlement Agreement with Allergen in city of Santa Fe versus Purdue Pharma.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
I hear a motion and I hear a second. Is there discussion? Could you please call the roll on that, please?
Counselor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. And now C.
So item 13C is request for approval of a settlement agreement between the city of Santa Fe and Wild Earth Guardians, WEG, to resolve WEG's protest of the city of Santa Fe's application for permit for return flow credit.
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve item 13C. Is there discussion? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez.
Yeah.
Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Romero Worth,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. Now I'd entertain a motion to amend the agenda to bring as our next item of business petitions from the floor.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and there's a second. Is there discussion? Can you call the roll, Madam Clerk?
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez, Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. So with that, Madam Clerk, we'll go to petitions from the floor. We'll begin with people who are here in this room. If you have something you'd like to speak to that is not, well, I guess we don't have any public hearings tonight. So if you have anything you want to speak to that is an issue you want to bring to the governing body's attention, please come up to the mic and we'll give you 2 minutes to do so. And then we'll look on the Zoom room to see if there's anybody waiting in the Zoom room. So you have the floor, sir.
I want 3 minutes. I'm just joking. Rick Martinez, 725 Messiah Road. I'm here to support the Midtown proposal to not use be able to use the fee in lieu of. And the reason I see this is look at what you guys did with the rail yard. We have the rail yard flats. I forget the name of the other one right next to it. No affordable units. You have the Baca Street with, I don't know how many units are in there. Not one affordable unit in there. Oh, and that's all in city property. So there's no affordable units in the rail yard project. And that's all city owned land too. That's another thing we're losing out on. I want to talk about the Midtown campus on why we should not do that. You know, you look at when a developer pays the fee in lieu of, those units only stay affordable. If they don't pay the fee in lieu, they only stay affordable for 10 years. After that, they go back to market rate. So we'll be playing catch up for years on this. These are out-of-state developers that are developing these projects. They should be part of this community. We should not let them off the hook and not be part of this community. You know, this community is grown by the way I grew up here with everybody living in the same place together. I mean, it's really important that we keep it that way. And then the other thing too I worry about is that most of the way you guys have your incentive setups is that the public ain't going to review these buildings when they come up because it's all done by the land use director. So the public does not get to review these fee in lieu of that when they get away with it. So it's, you know, this is our last chance to really speak up and say no and fee in lieu of for this Midtown thing. We put a lot of effort in this. And the other thing that bothers me is that why is there no public hearings in this whole project? I mean, in this resolution, I have to come and speak from the podium to speak my voice. There should be at least one public hearing. And I want to remind everybody that if you go down Cerritos Road, right at the intersection of St. Francis Drive, there's a sign there that says we're building an inclusive community. And that inclusive means that we're immigrants and everybody else, but we're also building an inclusive community for everyone else to live together in apartments. If we approve this, we're not getting an inclusive community. We're getting a segregated community at the Midtown. So we should be really special on how we treat the Midtown and get rid of the fee in lieu of and let's build a really good community.
Thank you, sir.
I could have got 3 minutes. But.
Thank you. You have the floor.
Hello, my name is Terry Brown. I'm from Christ Lutheran Church, and I'm here in support of the safe outdoor spaces. I came to the presentation at the convention center and then saw the pallet homes, and we had a group of people from our church and from the community with that Marisol was working with. And I fully support that, and that we as a church are helping to try to get that to go through.
Thank you very much for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Hello, good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. My name is Marisol Atkins, and I am here to express gratitude to Councilors Villarreal and Cassett for the introduction of the resolution on safe outdoor spaces. A lot of work's being done in the community, and we're garnering a lot of support for this initiative. We definitely want to advocate for more affordable housing, but implementation of a safe outdoor space is a nice interim solution for the crisis of homelessness that we have in our community. I'm also here to help in any way, and will be available to any members of the council if you have any questions. I've been working in the community for a couple of years now, and I'm happy to provide any support or clarification on models, services provided, et cetera, et cetera.
Thank you very much. Anyone else here in the room tonight? If not, Madam Clerk, let's go to the Zoom room for people who wish to be heard for 2 minutes.
All right. We have Miss Stephanie Beninato.
Good evening, Stephanie Beninato. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. I just want to touch on a few things. I do believe that the city attorney is engaging in malfeasance by not correcting the voting pattern that is happening at the H board, where there's a quorum of 4, but the vote is 2-1. And again, the ordinance in two places clearly says majority of the members present that form the quorum. So it has to be 3 out of 4 to do that. I also was a little concerned last week about the discussion about having more staff members, not only because it's more bureaucracy, but what I heard from, I think, at least 3 city councilors is that they, like state and national politicians, are constantly running for office. And that, you know, they need to use these staff to schedule, you know, meetings and things like that. And it seemed to me that it's almost like asking to create a career politician track, which would give incumbents even more advantage using taxpayer fund. I've also asked people about the whole discussion you had last week about kindness, and the qualities that I heard back from people for city employees and city officials is courtesy, accountability, respect, integrity, responsiveness, fairness. I think that people said that they didn't expect courtesy. I mean, excuse me, they didn't necessarily expect kindness. They would rather see these other qualities being fulfilled, or that kindness would be a bonus. I also know, as somebody who's trained people in communication skills for public employees, that we really emphasize that emails have no tenor. That if you get upset, can I just finish 2 more sentences, please? That if you ascribe meaning to or emotional meaning to words that are commonly used, that's going to be a problem. And so that things like obscenities, racial slurs, etc., these are words that are not okay, but otherwise no tenor to emails. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else in Zoom room?
Rachel Thompson.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Rachel Thompson. I live on Camino Cielo Vista. I wanted to express my support for all of the comments made by my friend Rick Martinez about Midtown, and also to what was said about the safe outdoor space. I am becoming a volunteer with that project, and I just see a tremendous amount of support for safe outdoor spaces. And I know that 8 or 10 people took a trip recently up to look over Project Moxie in Southern Colorado. And I heard a presentation by those people when they came back from that trip. And it just gave me even greater confidence that this is something that Santa Fe can do. That it was rich in services and in a very, very good location, and that it was something that was undertaken while actually reducing the crime in the surrounding area. So I really thank counselors for moving ahead with this, both to purchase pallets and then also to find a suitable location and select from what I hope will be multiple bids from an organization that can coordinate and help bring the wraparound services that are necessary for something like this to be successful. And lastly, I don't know if this is possible through the budget process, but I understand that something like $650,000 is going to be spent on a pickleball complex. And I know that capital expenses are different from operating expenses, but I sure would love to see that money put toward hiring some more people in our planning department. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, others in the Zoom room?
Yes, Megan.
Hi, thank you. I am also pushing for the safe outdoor spaces.
Sorry to interrupt. Can we get your full name, please?
Oh, yes, Megan Robert. spell
Thank
like
you.
Robert. I am pushing for the safe outdoor spaces as well. I'm noticing in Santa Fe that there are several people who are unhoused, and there are different solutions to that to help out. And I think the safe outdoor space is one great solution to that. Everybody deserves to have housing and to feel secure. And I think the safe outdoor spaces would be a great option for that. Having several pallets where people can have their own space and have locks on their doors. I would really love to see that happen in the city. And I think that it would be great to help educate our community on this as well, so that people understand what this actually is and how it could really help and support people, and also just make our community better and safer and provide what's needed for people. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Madam Clerk, others?
Mayor, that was the last person.
Okay, so anyone else in this room, if you were shy about coming up before, this is your last shot. All good? Very well. In that case, Madam Clerk, let's go back to our regular order of business, which I believe is matters from the city clerk.
It is. I just wanted to thank everybody for joining us. It's funny, we were at Public Works Monday night presenting awards to our parks team. So it kind of feels like we had this discussion. But again, just thank you to everyone for the Easter egg event, and a huge thank you to the parks team that came in. They don't normally cover MRC, but they came over to help us get the field ready for the Easter egg hunt. So just wanted to note that. I also wanted to say that we are about to announce our summer series, which includes spray downs with the fire department and several movies in the park. This year, we're trying something new. We're going to do double features. So we'll be having a kids movie at 6 p.m. and then more of an adult style movie later in the evening at 8. So we think that's kind of a cool and creative idea. And then I just wanted to note that many of you, I would like to ask if you have any properties in your districts that you want to identify as nuisance properties. If you'll please notify myself and Isabella Sharp. We've been working with the attorney's office on kind of a new process and identifying properties. Isabella's been doing site visits at many of these locations, and we've really been working through some of those areas. So I did just want to note, and we will be sending a follow-up email, but if you have any properties in your district that you would like us to review, please let us know. So I think that's it. I also, I'm sure this will come up, but want to wish my little guys good luck this weekend for opening season for baseball. I'll be at the fields on Saturday morning, but it's always a wonderful day in our community to see that many children gather for baseball and softball, and watch them kind of run the bases from T-ballers all the way up to our larger kids. So anyways, good luck to all the teams and all the kids playing that day.
Thank you. Communications from the governing body. Let's start to my right with Councillor Lee Garcia. Sir, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to, again, give a shout out to Christine and the staff and all the city employees that did participate in the Easter egg hunt, the Touch the Big Truck. It was a very big success and had a lot of people. It was really nice. And that's really it. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Casson.
Thank you, Mayor. I also want to echo my gratitude to the city clerk's team and the parks team for the Easter egg hunt. We had a wonderful time, me and Tiny Human. So thank you so much. It's really just such a fun event. Christine, remind me, what, 50,000 eggs out?
Yes.
Yeah.
50,000 items. So it was a combination of eggs, toys, and candy. And some really cool grand prizes for our golden eggs this year.
Impressive. 50,000. That's really wonderful. Thank you so much. There are, I feel like, I don't know, 10 events on Saturday. So there's the Southside Feria, or Feria Southside Mercado. Looks like that's from 10 to 2 at the Fraternal Order of Police. So that's the follow-up from the event that they had in I don't know, last summer. So really exciting event that Economic Development's partnered with the chamber to really highlight some of the businesses and sole proprietors and entrepreneurs on the South Side. There is the Little League opening day. I will be there with my little tiny T-baller. So we're very excited. We'll see if they can stay as an amoeba while they run around the bases. It'll be adorable. There is the Sam's Club is having their like 40th anniversary, I believe. So they have a ribbon cutting at 11:30. There is the Santa Fe Public Schools. Counselor Chavez will tell us more about that golf tournament. There is also, I think, the Boys and Girls Club, the bowling for kids. Big Brothers, Big Sisters. Thank you. I should just let Counselor Chavez do this because she has all the information. And I believe it's also the Great American Cleanup on Saturday. So if you know how to clone people, please let me know because I would like to be in 10 places at once. But I hope that everybody has an opportunity to get out. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Councilor Mayor Worth.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to build awareness around a new series that will be happening in Santa Fe. This series has come out of some conversations that I had with Mike Lofton of HomeWise. Counselor Cassett has been involved, and I really want to give a shout out to Johanna Gilligan at HomeWise, who's really picked up the ball. And the series is called Livability Speakers Series. And it is going to be a 6-month thing. They're going to be speakers every month. We have the first couple lined up, and I want the community to know about this. The first speaker is actually sold out. He is the author of Evicted. And this series, just to give you a little bit more information, is to bring national and local speakers to venues across town. There'll be free public talks followed by opportunities for conversation. And we're exploring 3 different topics. And I think the idea of this is that it would be something that we do outside of a land hearing, which is when a land use hearing, which is when we often talk about housing concepts. And what I'd like to see and what I think our aims are is to talk about some of the things around affordability, sustainability, and livability outside of a land use hearing and build some understanding and awareness and start some conversations about how we want to meet our housing affordability goals. So under affordability, some things we'll be asking is how does a housing market work or not? And what will it take to have more affordable housing options in Santa Fe? Another question we'll be asking is how is housing connected to the wealth gap in our community? Under sustainability, some questions that we're going to be exploring. What can we do to address the demand on Santa Fe's housing market while being conscientious about where and how we build? And another question, how can we pair conservation and development while also decreasing reliance on vehicles in a rapidly growing community like Santa Fe? Under livability, possible question, we'll be exploring how can we ensure that Santa Fe is a multi-generational community that embraces people of all ages. And I just, again, we have a number of community partners, the Santa Fe Housing Action Coalition, LifeLink, Creative Santa Fe, Santa Fe Art Institute, Friends of Architecture, the Women's International Studies Center, Chainbreaker, Santa Fe Chamber of Commerce, Mass Design, Urban Land Institute, and others. And then also I want to thank Councilor Rivera and Councilwoman Villarreal for joining our team to help make this series a success. And just really, again, want to give a shout out to HomeWise, who's taken this idea, really run with it, developed it, and just want to make everybody aware of it. Look for these opportunities because you're going to start hearing about this more. And I think these conversations will be good ones for all of us on the dais here to participate in, but also, really want to encourage the community's participation as well. So, oh yeah, I'll let can I go back to Councilor Cassett so she can talk about the fellowship? That's really important.
All right. All right. Thank you. So they also are launching a fellowship that people can apply for. And these are individuals that will be able to really learn, they engage with the speakers that are coming in. They'll be able to meet and collaborate with other Santa Fe residents and with local officials. They'll be able to build expertise in this area. They'll be able to attend all of these sessions. If you are interested in applying to be one of these fellows that really gets to take a deep dive throughout this process and have some additional engagement, the URL is not really easy, but it is https://tinyurl.com/livable.sf. And if, you know what, actually just give me an email, jcassett@santafem.gov, and I'll send you over the flyer because that sounds a little bit easier than remembering.
And did you mention there's a stipend in there?
Yes, there is a stipend. Thank you so much. And where is that stipend? There is a stipend, but if you're interested, please feel free to reach out to me and I will send you the information to apply. And applications are due by this Friday, April 14th. So, email me now if you would like to be involved. Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Lindell passes. Counselor Villarreal, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I'm really tired, so I really don't have the energy to say anything right now.
Okay. You can also pass. Counselor Garcia, you have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just one reminder, after folks finish up with the Keep Santa Fe Beautiful event this weekend, please take your trash to the dump. It's a free trash day. So if you don't even engage in the Keep Santa Fe Beautiful's Keep America Beautiful event, now's the time to clean up those yards and take advantage of the free trash day. So just wanted to put that out there, as well as give a good luck to all of the young volleyball athletes that will be participating in their end of season tournament, which begins on Saturday. So good luck. That's all I got, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Counselor Rivera, you have the floor, sir.
I have nothing this evening. Thank you, Mayor.
Sir. Counselor Chavez.
Thank you, Mayor. I wanted to start by thanking City Councilor Mahalsik and her team for the Easter egg hunt, but also that department's ability to pool multiple departments. Did I say something?
You just demoted her to be a city councilor.
City Council
I was like, why are they all mumbling? She's like, I don't want that. I don't want that title.
She is taken aback by the proposition. So please withdraw that and
This
amend
is
it.
why we had people passing, is because we're all too tired to speak right now. Sorry. So City Clerk Mahalsik.
There we go.
Thank you. I know everyone highlighted the Easter egg hunt, but I wanted to highlight her department's ability to kind of pool multiple departments to engage in the community in a different way than they do day by day. They are able to participate in these fun events and plan really special things for the community. So I just appreciate your team's efforts around that. I will be in the SFPS fundraiser golf tournament, so I'm going to miss all the other hundreds of events that are on Saturday, which is sad because I love the Little League opening day. And if you need to be cheered up, you need to watch these kids run the diamond. Is that what it is? I don't know baseball terms. Bases. So I'm sad that I'm going to miss those events. I will be bowling, I think, though, on Sunday. And so the bowling fundraiser for our Big Brothers Big Sisters is, I think it starts on Friday or even tomorrow, and it's like a 4-day fundraiser. So that's very exciting. I also wanted to take some time to recognize all city staff. I feel like springtime and the summer is when the city like comes alive or more alive, and it's very exciting and it's very fun, but there is so much work that goes on behind the scenes. So I think I just wanted to acknowledge city staff and say, we kind of see you and the fact that you make it possible. And we appreciate the fact that our city continues to run for us to engage in it the wonderful way we're able to through the spring and summer. I also wanted to take some time to shout out just our community partners in general. So in my other job, I work on a daily basis and trying to figure out how to best meet student needs or youth needs. And as a school organization, we can meet a lot of those needs, but it's kind of amazing in Santa Fe how many partners we could rely on outside of our school or our organization to help meet youth needs. I was in a meeting and just hearing a bunch of adults shouting out different partners that make a difference in kids' lives was really amazing. And so I wanted to make sure to take time to shout those individuals out. So thank you, community partners. I don't think you get enough credit for all you do to help our community stay healthy. And I think that's it tonight, Mayor Weber. Thank you.
Thank you. There is so much going on. It's quite remarkable. I'll add to the list, but first I want to give my thanks to the Finance Committee and their efforts in getting the budget hearing started. And it's a lot of work. It's an enormous undertaking to go through each one of these departments individually. And my tip of the hat to all of the members of the Finance Committee and to the department heads and our finance team for taking all of the work, bringing it together and presenting it in public hearings. Started yesterday and will conclude April 27th, and the hearing schedule is very much open to the public. The events that have all been named are quite exciting. I think I managed to find one you all missed out of the entire menu, which is the last day of season Slush Cup, April 15th from 12 to 3. Test your pond skimming skills. Costumes are encouraged. Registration is free, and the quote unquote winner will receive a special Slush Cup grand prize. Ski Santa Fe. Another exciting thing that's kicking off on April 22nd is the Monathon, a marathon of printmaking, part of our community arts and culture tradition. And a big shout out to the International Film Festival, which was named one of the 50 film festivals worth the entry fee by Movie Maker magazine, which previously had listed Santa Fe as the #1 place, smallish city in America in which to live and make a movie. Tomorrow is another day of great recognition for what a remarkable community we live in. Tomorrow morning, the World Affairs Forum out at the Community College will feature a truly outstanding program on Russia and Ukraine. One of the keynote speakers is former Ambassador William Taylor. You may remember him from the Trump impeachment hearings, where he had very clear and personal firsthand experience around the issue of President Trump and Ukraine. He'll be there along with other speakers, grappling with what's happening with Ukraine, the war, Russia, and hopefully adding some really professional experience around how to make sense out of it all and what it might, how it might come to an end, a peaceful end. And then tomorrow night, something equally remarkable, and that is at the Lensic, a presentation on the invention of race as a concept, featuring Henry Louis Gates Jr., who is a national gift intellectual commentator on race and race relations, and Andrew Curran, who is a specialist in what many of these issues and teaches at Wesleyan University. My guess is that it's sold out, but if you get there, you might find somebody who'd be willing to give up a ticket to hear these truly national figures talk about something that is front and center in our country right now. And to have this in Santa Fe is another example of how our city really is a leader in dialogue and discussion of things that are critical to our well-being as a country and as a community. So thanks to those who are doing all the hard work to make these amazing events take place. I think it really is a description in a series of events. It gives truth to just what a special place Santa Fe is. And we all know it, but it's always good to remind ourselves. So thank you all for all of the work that's going on in our city. With that, Madam Clerk, we're completing communications from the governing body and moving to the next item on the agenda.
Right. The next item is introduction of legislation. We have item 16A, which is consideration of a resolution sponsored by Mayor Weber and Councilor Cassett. It's a resolution adopting next steps to revise the City of Santa Fe's general plan.
Yeah, and I think we all know this is coming. We know it's important. It is part of the effort we all are committed to update both Chapter 14, that was a meeting earlier this week, and also the overall general plan for the city. And this resolution gets that process going. Councilor Cassett, do you want to speak to it?
I think that it's, as you said, everybody's very well aware of how important this process is and long overdue. And I'm very excited that we have put funding towards this and that we really are kicking off this planning effort. I do think that it dovetails very well with what Councilor Maraworth introduced regarding that livability series. And so I would encourage people to participate in both these efforts. So thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, the next item.
Yes, is item B, consideration of a resolution sponsored by Councilor Villarreal, Councilor Cassett, and Mayor Weber. It's a resolution supporting the establishment of safe sleeping spaces as a shelter option for those who are experiencing homelessness in Santa Fe and for whom standard shelter options are not feasible, identifying an appropriate best practices and data-driven approach to sheltering this population and directing the city manager to enter into or bring to the governing body contracts for structures, sites for the structures, landowners willing to provide an area for the structures, and an operator or operators capable of providing round-the-clock support services and 24/7 supervision.
Councilwoman Villarreal, Councilor Cassett.
It's sent over to me. Thank you so much, Mayor Weber, and really want to thank the community services team for their work in this area. As this resolution states, there's been a lot of discussion around how do we address the issue, the concerns around homelessness, and in a way that creates both safety and security for our housed and our unhoused residents. There are many individuals who do not want to be in congregate shelters. There is not a private space there. They may not feel safe. They may have a pet they can't bring with them. There may be a couple or a family that they would have to be divided. And so this really does provide people with that option to have another location. We, of course, have seen a lot of camping on private property, in parks, in arroyos, in other areas, and that has impacted many of our residents as well as our staff. And so this is an opportunity to move forward with exploring a model that has worked in other parts of the country, that we have seen success and that can be part of our solutions to addressing the issues around homelessness. And I always say part because this is such a large, complex issue that I think it's important that people understand that this is going to be one piece of a larger, multifaceted approach that we are already taking and will continue to look for additional solutions. So I really do look forward to more conversations around this. I think it's important to note for people, I've already gotten a few emails about people assuming that there's a location that has been chosen. That is not the case. That is part of this exploration that we are directing staff, the city manager and staff to undertake of looking for appropriate spaces as well as a provider. And I'll pass it on to you. Thank you.
Councilwoman Villarreal.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilwoman Cassett, for giving a summary. I think I would just add that this is a community effort, and it will require not just the public sector, but the nonprofit and the private sectors and the community at large to work together to support our community members that are experiencing homelessness. And this is just the beginning of the work that needs to be done. This is kind of setting forward in motion, finding locations, finding providers, finding structures. And so there's still a lot of work to be done. But I just think that providing safe spaces for those in need, so that homelessness becomes a brief and non-occurring situation for folks is really important for our community. So thank you.
Thank you. And I would just add that, as my colleagues have said, we have a comprehensive strategy that we've been pursuing for more than 4 years around the Built for Zero model, designed to reach functional zero when it comes to chronic and veteran homelessness. We've seen it happen in more than a dozen cities around America. It is doable, but you have to have, in order to make it work, a variety of solutions. Everyone knows that when you talk about homelessness, you're really misspeaking from the get-go because it's an individual experience, not a group or one size fits all problem for the people and for the community. And so having enough different ways to give people the options that get them housed and get them safely sheltered is really critical to the Built for Zero model. I can also tell you that I've visited a safe sleeping area. This one was in San Francisco. I know others have seen examples in other states. And when the pallet type shelters are combined with services and support, they become a really good option to give people safe shelter and then a springboard toward permanent housing. And it is not the only solution, but it is part of a comprehensive approach to ending chronic and veteran homelessness in our community. And I look forward to the discussion of this resolution as it makes its way through the process. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Yes, item C is consideration of a resolution sponsored by Councillor Chavez and Councillor Rivera. It's a resolution establishing a 2-year pilot program to support the physical and mental well-being of employees.
Councillor Chavez and Councillor Rivera, I'll give you your own opportunities to describe this measure.
Thank you, Mayor Weber. I don't trust myself to talk now, so let me know if I make any errors along the way. So mental health is very, very important to me. I consider myself an advocate. I think that we have a huge issue that often goes unrecognized and unfortunately goes unrecognized by people that can make a difference, which are leaders in our community, political officials in our community. And so I think this really recognizes a few things. One being that a healthy organization starts with a healthy and well-supported staff. And so the pilot program creates an additional day of leave that employees can take advantage of for wellness purposes. It also, what goes along with it is a 2-hour weekly wellness program for physical and mental fitness leave. And this is something that the state has implemented and has been something that has helped with both recruitment and retainment because of the fact that I think employees feel valued. There's something about being able to take care of themselves and their work, their employer kind of supporting those efforts. This would be immediately available if passed to non-union employees, and then our city manager would then work with unions to see if it is accepted and can be available to union employees. So it's just what I really like about it too is just this message of a government organization saying that we value mental health, which is powerful in just ending the stigma around mental health, which is very much alive and interferes with a lot of people getting the help and support they need. So this is very important to me. I'm excited to hear questions and to get feedback from my colleagues. Councilor Rivera, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Councilor Rivera.
Just briefly, it was an honor to work with Councilwoman Chavez on this. from my own personal experiences working 24 years in fire and EMS, there were definitely days I could have benefited from an extra day off to unwind, just to see family, just to do something different than be at work in a difficult time. So it was, like I said, an honor working with her, and I hope this, as we go through this, I hope we can learn a lot more about our employees, and I hope we can muster up the support needed to get this passed.
Thank you, counselors.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk, take us to the next item then, please.
The next item is 17A. It's public comment on bills. This is consideration of a bill number 2023-13, sponsored by Mayor Weber. It's a bill relating to the City of Santa Fe's Office of Economic Development Plan Ordinance, Section 11-11-5 SFCC 1987, approving and adopting a local economic development project participation agreement between the City of Santa Fe and Parting Stone Incorporated for design, development, and construction of tenant improvements, lease payments, and expansion of a corporate headquarters, a local economic development project.
So this is a chance for public comment on this bill. I don't know if there's anybody here in the room who wishes to comment, or in the Zoom room who would like to take 2 minutes to reflect on this bill. No one so far?
No, Mayor.
Okay, then we've already done petitions from the floor, and 19A is withdrawn. So that would take us to 21, Madam Clerk.
Yes, Mayor. Item 21 is appointments. The first committee is item 21A, Santa Fe Film and Digital Media Council. We have Elisa Montoya with an appointment term ending in March of 2024. Dedzba Shara Ann Henderson, appointment term ending in March of 2024. Sienna Burt with an appointment with a term ending in March of 2024. Jaden Martinez with appointment term ending in March of 2024. Tara Tovarek, an appointment with a term expiring in March of 2024. Mark Glacier, an appointment term ending in March of 2024. And Rashawn Ahmed with a change in position to an alternate. His term would also expire in March of 2024.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
There's a motion to approve and a second. Is there discussion? Yes, Councilor Rivera.
Yeah, just curious, how many members are on the Santa Fe Film and Digital Media Council?
Quite a few.
So this
believe it's-
isn't the whole.
No, sir.
Okay, I was looking for
This is-
staggered terms, so, but if there's.
Yeah,
They're
this is
members.
filling some vacancies.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, we can. Counselor, oh, give me one sec. Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Counselor Lee Garcia.
Aye.
You got us, you got all of our attention, Counselor. Good job.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Merworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Aye.
Counselor Cassett.
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. The ayes have it. Could you take us to the next item, please?
Yes, the next is for the North Central New Mexico Economic Development District appointment. It's for Counselor Jamie Cassett.
There a motion?
To approve.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Any discussion? Counselor Cassett, you want to give this a quick walkthrough?
Sure. Well, I am just learning about this now as well through the, there was actually a really fun moment in EDAC the other day when we had the JPA up and I said, who represents them on the city? And they were like, oh, you're about to be appointed. So good to know. But I am really looking forward to working with this group. Director Nelson has been giving me some information that this is a really really wonderful and informative group that's working on economic development throughout northern New Mexico. And that there's going to be some real opportunities for funding, for collaboration. So I'm very eager to represent the city on this council or on this district and really see what opportunities I can bring to the city through it. So thank you.
Thank you. You are spot on when you talk about funding opportunities, partnership opportunities, regional development considerations. As we look at, and I know you spent a full day at the budget hearings, we're looking at ways to get additional revenue to support activities that we're trying to do inside the city. This is another opportunity to leverage regional economic development dollars. So thanks for taking it on. You have a lot of work already, and this is very generous of you to step up and do this. So thank you. Madam Clerk, do you want to call the roll, please?
Yes, Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth, Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you.
The next appointment is for the Sister Cities Committee. We have Diavandra Narayan with an appointment term expiring in March of 2027.
There a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion, there's a second. Discussion on this appointment. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Counselor Lindell, Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez, Counselor Lee Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes,
Motion has been approved.
thank you. And then the last one, Madam Clerk?
Yes, the last one is for the Public Safety Committee, and it's for Julie Glassmeyer, an appointment with a term expiring in March of 2025.
Is there a motion?
Second.
There's a motion to approve. There's a second. Counselor Rivera, did you want to speak? Did you, I know you, she came to you, or you and she agreed on this appointment. I don't know if you want to speak to it or not.
Yeah, she visited the Public Safety Committee and became really interested and just wants to help. She has a background in mental health, and I think will be a great addition to the committee.
Thank you, sir. Other comments about this appointment? Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Yes, Counselor Lindell,
Yes.
Counselor Rivera,
Yes.
Counselor Marworth,
Yes.
Councilwoman Villarreal,
Yes.
Counselor Cassett,
Yes.
Counselor Chavez, Counselor Lee Garcia,
Aye.
Counselor Michael Garcia,
Yes.
Mayor Weber.
Yes.
Motion has been approved.
Thank you. With that, we completed tonight's agenda, and we are